What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So I must have ruffled some feathers, huh? I must have ruffled a lot of feathers. As I reported to you guys from sources inside the PBC side, the Premier Boxing Champion side, founder and advisor Al Heyman. Sources from the PBC side have informed me and told me that undefeated, unified WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not number 1, definitely top 5 best pound for pound fighters in the world, and Errol the True Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is 32 wins, no loss and no draw. 28 wins, no loss and no draw. 22 wins by way of knockout. 32 years of age. 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. That he'll be facing former unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Keith one-time Thurman. Okay, Keith Thurman held the WBC, the WBA welterweight world titles. Keith Thurman has a record of 30 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout. He's 33 years of age. He'll be 34 by the time this fight comes to fruition. 5'8" with a 69-inch arm reach. Next, right? So, Showtime President of Sports Stephen Espinoza responds by saying nobody announces Showtime fights, right? And then Stephen Espinoza goes on to say that I need to be worried about the 11 bankruptcies that BLK Prime has, right? I didn't mention the 11 bankruptcies that BLK Prime has. Stephen Espinoza acts as if his company never took losses. Let's say that was to be the case. He's saying this as a businessman. We know businessmen that just lost $100 billion. We know of a businessman right now that lost $100 billion. $100 billion. So what does that mean? Huh? So the point here is that I was told that Errol Spence will be fighting Keith Thurman next, right? By sources inside the PBC, okay? And WBC, World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, board of 32 members, also reported that they are next, okay, to fight Errol Spence, which Keith Thurman is the #1 WBC mandatory challenger, okay? The #1 WBC challenger. Mark Zuckerberg just lost $100 billion. $100 billion. But Stephen Espinoza is talking about 11 bankruptcies. No problem. Right? Stephen Espinoza, on separate occasions, has said one thing and then done another. Right? So Stephen Espinoza is saying that nobody announces Showtime's cards. Well, the PBC also has a relationship with Fox, right? Olympic bronze medalist, former WBC American heavyweight world champion, superstar boxer Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. He just fought on Fox. So because it's Errol Spence is a PBC fighter, right? Does that mean that the fight is not going to take place because it's not on Showtime? It could happen on Fox. I'm not saying it is or it's not. Don't know when it's going to happen. But December 17th, I got even more confirmation today that December 17th is going to be the date for Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. Right? More confirmation today. Right? Is it true? Is it not true? That's coming from the PBC side. Right? I didn't make it up. So why is Stephen Espinoza referring to bankruptcies? For what? Stephen Espinoza doesn't want any competition. that's what this is, right? So anything that represents competition, Stephen Espinoza is talking about bankruptcies, 11 bankruptcies, and the fight's not going to happen. And well, the WBC have come out, and the WBC has stated that the next person in line, the very next person in line is going to be Keith one-time Thurman. That's what they stated. The next person in line for sure is going to be Keith one-time Thurman. That's what they stated. They said, the WBC stated, we have the number one position. Point blank and period. That's what the WBC stated. Point blank and period. The next person in line to get an opportunity to fight for the titles, right? Errol Spence is the unified champion. So the next person in line to fight for them titles is going to be Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is the mandatory challenger, right? I didn't make it up. It's not me who stated that, Keith Thurman is next in line. It's the WBC. President Mauricio Suleiman. They're the ones that said that Keith Thurman is next in line. We know that Amanda Stanionis, okay? Amanda Stanionis is the WBA regular champion, right? Amanda Stanionis was initially supposed to face off against Yordenis Ugas, former WBA welterweight world champion, Cuban star boxer, Yordenis Ugas, okay? Yordenis Ugas had to petition the World Boxing Association, President Gilberto Mendoza, okay? He had to petition him, and he had to complain for them to allow him to face off against Errol Spence in a unification bout. So Amanda Stanionis was next in line, okay? Then you had the IBF. Errol Spence didn't satisfy his IBF mandatory challenge since he fought Carlos Ocampo in 2018. So the IBF, International Boxing Federation President Mr. Peoples, is in line, okay? They're in line now to fight against Errol Spence. Who's that challenger? Undefeated welterweight superstar, title contender, the phenom as I call him, Jerron Boots Ennis. Jerron Boots Ennis, 29 wins, no loss, no draw, 27 big wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Jerron Boots Ennis is next in line, right? Okay. But the WBC comes out and they say it's Keith Thurman or get stripped. Errol Spence comes out, he says, I'm gonna spin the block and come back to my biggest rival, an undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford is 38 wins, no loss, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach, okay? Terrence Crawford is going into a fight December 10th against David Avanesian, who's number 6 in the WBO rankings. He's number 4 in the WBC rankings, and he's number 8 in the IBF rankings. That's who Terrence Crawford is going to be fighting. David Avanesian next, okay? Who's on a 6-fight knockout streak. Knocked out his last 6 opponents, right? So the problem here is that Stephen Espinoza had nothing but time to make a fight for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Okay, and in the twilight hour, Terrence Crawford had enough and said, listen, okay, I got to fight this year. You guys are not looking to place us on a fight this year, and got us on a fight for next year, for 2023, on the schedule to fight for 2023, right? Not this year. Why didn't you make it happen this year? Errol Spence is on record saying that, he and Terrence Crawford had plans to fight since before he fought Yordenis Ugas, April 16th, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium. That's 7 months ago. And he still couldn't get a deal done. But yet, he has a plan in place now. Keep this in mind. He has a plan in place already. 3 scheduled dates for Jake Paul was rescheduled. They still got Jake Paul to fight, right? And then, now they already planning a Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz fight for February, January or February. Another date for Jake Paul. But we still have no date for undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. We still have, we had to wait. Jermell Charlo fought Brian Castano for undisputed May 14th of this year. His date to fight who we already knew his next opponent was in Tim Tszyu, who was the mandatory, who was supposed to fight Brian Castano, just like the situation with Yordenis Ugas and Amanda Stanionis, right? Tim Tszyu was ringside. Tim Tszyu was supposed to fight Brian Castano, but Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano fought for a draw in the first fight. Everybody wanted to see the rematch and wanted to get a conclusion as to who's who, right? And so they fought again, and Tim Tszyu took step aside, right, to allow them to fight. Tim Tszyu is already on deck to fight the winner. We know who's supposed to fight the winner of the fight. Jermell Charlo won the fight by knockout, right? So we knew who his next opponent was. That's May 14th. Jermell Charlo's not fighting Tim Tszyu till January 28th. I'm going to say it to y'all again. Jermell Charlo's not fighting Tim Tszyu until January 28th. Tim Tszyu has a countdown on his social media talking about 400 days, 200 days, or whatever. 100 more days left. He counting down to the Jermell Charlo fight when we already knew who was fighting. Jermell Charlo fought in May. So why didn't we see Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo? Why didn't we see Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo earlier? If we knew Tim Tszyu was fighting in May. Why? So, you just like y'all had the opportunity to make Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, and you didn't do it. Just like they dropping the ball on Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Gervonta Tank Davis fought 2 weeks after Jermell Charlo beat Brian Castano. He fought May 28th. May 28th. Why aren't we getting Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Why haven't we gotten it? Right? So, what I've been told, and let's see how it plays out. Errol Spence is going to fight Keith Thurman next. Another great source from the PBC, a whole different person came today and told me, hey, we fighting a week after you. After y'all fight December 10th, Errol Spence is going to be fighting Keith Thurman in a big fight, December 17th. That's what I was told today by another great source from the PBC. Whether it's true or not true, that's what I was told. So, Steven, you mad at the wrong people. Maybe Errol Spence is going to fight on Fox. Who knows? But let's see how it unfolds and plays out. What I was told, Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman is going to happen December 17th. Some people even told me it's going to happen in January. But let's see how it unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Roll. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for you. Peace.